Understand these 4 levels in all businesses to never feel stuck and frustrated for a long period again. So in the last podcast, episode 27, I believe, we talked about a mindset hack around pain, how to reframe pain to your advantage. So if you haven't listened to that already, I would suggest listening to that episode before listening to this one, because that puts the frame in place for you to be able to utilize what we're going to talk about in today's podcast. So in today's podcast, what I want to go through is these 4 different stages that all businesses go through, whether they're large, small, tech startups, services, businesses, self-funded, it doesn't matter. All businesses go through 4 stages, and each of these stages has a particular requirement and impact on the owner. So by understanding these levels, you can make sure that you know where you are, you can orientate yourself, and you can adapt your strategy accordingly. But if you don't know what these levels are, what happens is you max out a level, but you don't realize that you've maxed out a level, and then you start to feel unfulfilled, and you stop getting results, you stop feeling motivated in your business. And if you stay stuck at the top of a level for too long without realizing that you've kind of maxed it out and you need to move to the next one, that eventually leads to either at the worst end of the scale, complete burnout, where you just close the business down, or at the lesser bad end, but still not great end, you being demotivated and no longer enjoying your business, which is also bad because eventually that leads to the business not performing. So let's go through the 4 levels and help you orientate at each one. So level 1 is startup, and generally speaking, we're not talking about seed-funded businesses here. So we're talking about self-funded. Maybe you've got some backing from friends and family, whatever it might be, or you've got some savings, but we're not talking about tech seed-funded fast startups. So you go through the startup phase, and lots of business owners thrive in this stage, right? Entrepreneurs are very ideas-driven. We like to create. We like to bring new things into reality. So this stage fills us with passion, right? We like the idea, we like getting the new thing going, we're really energized. Typically in this stage, you'll work too hard. You'll do that because you're driven by passion and motivation, and you'll also, generally speaking, be able to generate a team. And again, that's because your team can sense your excitement. They're inspired by your vision. They're motivated by your passion. So it's a really kind of high energy, exciting time in a business. This phase, I would say, lasts between 6 to 18 months, really probably around the 12-month mark. And in this time, you are just validating your idea, trying everything, making loads of mistakes, getting a bit of footing in the market, building a core team, and just getting things going. So that's a great phase to be in. Of course, if you try to stay in this stage for too long, because you're essentially working in a sprint, you'll just get burnt out and fed up really quickly. There'll be no consistency in the business. You'll be changing your ideas every other week, which is something that entrepreneurs do like to do. And you'll just not be able to make any traction. So it's essential that as you've started to find some traction, you've got a bite in the market, you've figured out your identity, you're starting to figure out your pricing and all of these things. You're starting to establish a core client base. That's when we move on to stage 2. So we've got a thing. We're no longer just coming up with tons of new ideas every week. We're still innovative, but we've got a core thing. Then we move on to stage 2, which is the slog phase. Now, the reason I call it the slog phase is because the business is still very dependent on the owner. So it might not feel like a slog when you first get into it. You might still enjoy it and find it very rewarding, but it is the slog phase because it's dependent on the owner. So phase 2, the slog phase, can last anywhere from kind of 2 to 5 years upwards. And this is the phase where you have the thing that's working. You've got a core team in place. You might be growing the team, and you're really just ironing things out. So you're really trying to find your place again. You found your place in the market, but you're trying to iron that place out now. You're trying to improve. You're trying to do whatever you need to do to bring in more clients. It feels like a slog for the owner because at this phase, typically we're taking on more responsibility. We've got more outgoings, more bills. We've got more people that we're looking after. The business can only grow if we take on more people, but taking on more people brings on stress and worry and things. So and we have more costs in the business to grow. So typically speaking, anybody that hasn't been in business thinks that it just grows and it's easy and loads of money comes in. But those of us who own businesses know that this phase is challenging, right? We've proven our concept. Now we're working hard in the business to make sure that everybody gets paid, that the business can grow, that the customers are happy, and we're wearing all the hats. So this is an enjoyable part of business for many business owners because we like being on the ground. We like making this thing a reality. It's normally our baby, so we're pretty passionate about making it work. We love being around the team. We like that the team like us. Everything feels good. We like that we're getting good results for our customers. And it's also really nice a lot of the time that we are a small player in a big pond and we're actually making a difference. And this is our advantage, right? To be a small business, it means that we can take on the giants because we can be adaptive, we can be agile, we can give a higher level of service. All of these wonderful things that we have from being small. So that's the slog phase. And the most common issue that I see is that business owners get stuck here for too long. So like I said, you might enjoy this phase at the beginning. So I made this mistake with my business. I was in the slog phase. I actually really enjoyed it. All the clients loved me. I loved them. I loved my team. Everything was good. Yes, it was reliant on me, but that made me feel good because I was making a difference. So it does feel good for a period of time. But if you stay here for too long, which is what I did, then it can really start to shift. So what tends to happen when you stay here for too long is from anywhere from 3 years, 2 years onwards, maybe even longer. So you might be in this stage for 10 years, happy, right? And this is the key point here that I touched on in the last podcast. And that is that the pain you feel when you have maxed out one of these levels is good. It's not there to say you're doing something wrong. It's there to say it's time to adapt course. And I go into this in more detail in the previous podcast, but pain isn't a bad thing. And that's something that we really need to understand as business owners, because in a job, you don't get these levels of pain and you don't get the ups and downs and the roller coasters that you do of owning a business. And that's why you don't have as much that you can gain from a job, but you can still get paid well and you can still have consistency and you can still have a level of security. So in a job, you don't need to develop this mindset around creating a healthy relationship with pain, which means that your friends and family might not understand it, and they might say things to you like, when you're going for a tough phase, which you will, why are you doing it? Why don't you just get a job? It's less stressful, etc., etc. But you as a business owner know that's number one, that's not an option. So, if you've got the entrepreneurial flair, you're just never going to settle for a job. It won't work. You won't be happy. So the option isn't to quit the business. The option is to figure out how to create a healthy relationship with pain, which is very possible, by the way. So in the last podcast, I did talk about that in more detail, but very quick summary is that pain isn't a bad thing. Pain is a guidance system. So for example, if you go to the gym and you experience pain, well, the person that hasn't created a healthy relationship with pain will go, right, that's my body telling me it's time to quit. Whereas we need to focus on, and what the most resilient people focus on, and the growth-minded people and the business owners is, okay, I'm in pain. Why is this? And normally it's telling us that we need to slow down, or that we just need to ease ourselves into it, or that we're doing something new. So our body's just telling us to not overdo it, but it's not telling us to quit. It's just telling us to adapt course. If I have pain in my right knee, it's not my body telling me my right knee's broken. It's normally telling me that I'm overusing my right knee and I need to work on my balance and my mobility to balance my strength out. So I'm not going to go into any more detail on that, but we need to use pain as a guidance system. So if you're in slog phase and the business is relying on you and you're happy for 20 years, then stay there. That's fine. That's what your soul as such is telling you, that you're happy in this stage. But if you get unhappy here, the signs are going to be that you start to feel unfulfilled in the business. You start to feel less motivated by it. You're not looking forward to going in on a Monday. You don't feel passionate anymore. You feel trapped, or you feel like this business is more of a weight around your shoulders than it was exciting like it used to be. So this is the pain kicking in. And again, reminder, the pain isn't saying, right, you're doing it wrong, you need to quit. The pain is saying, okay, you've maxed out this level. You've been in the slog level for long enough. Your strengths are probably more in ideas and startup and, those first 5 years. So you need to move through this level. You need to move on to the next level so that you can then spend your energy and time on the things that fulfill you and make you feel motivated. So what do we do? So what we want to do is we want to move from the slog phase to the systems phase. And this is challenging for many business owners, because if you're particularly excited by ideas and startup and creating something new, the thought of systems might not excite you very much. So what we do is we say, I don't know how to do that, or I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to stay here in this place where I'm comfortably uncomfortable. The business is paying me. We've got an established customer base in the slog phase. I've got a team. It gives me a certain lifestyle, and I don't love it, but it's better. It's easier to just stay here than it is to try and do all the things that I need to do to get to the next level. And that's a mistake, because that will eventually lead to you, it's fear-based, and it will eventually lead to you just getting fed up and closing it down, or just not enjoying your days, which isn't what we want as anybody really, but especially as business owners. So you're in the slog phase, you've done that. Now you need to move on to the systems phase. And in the systems phase, this is where we focus on, okay, what we're doing is working. We've got an established customer base. We get referrals. We've got a team in place that can deliver a service or product. We've got a thing that works. Now what we need to do is systemize our processes and our thinking patterns and our decision making and our culture so that this business is no longer reliant on the business owner. Now, the system phase might not excite you, but the system phase is a win-win for everybody, because when we get good systems in place, it reduces the reliability of the business on the owner, which is good because it frees you up so that you can focus on what you enjoy again, or even just work less. It makes it easier for the team to make their own decisions without the dependency of the owner and deliver a more consistent service, which is good for the customer because they get consistency, even if you're away, or the team's changing because we've processed and systemized things, that the customers get a relatively systemized experience, which means that it's more consistent for them and we can reach more people, which then means it's good for the business as well, because it's easier for us to sell a predictable thing that works at scale. So you've got to put the system phase in place. If you don't like that, this is what I love. I love systems. I can see a system in everything. I think what I see when I go into teams is that most business owners don't think they have systems, but they do, because everything is a system. So whether it's figuring out what your culture is, whether it's figuring out your values, your vision, your mission that drives all your decisions, your goal setting framework, your decision making, your a company I was with last week, how they make new products. So they have a framework for that. They didn't realize it, but just through spending a day in a room, we're like, okay, well, talk me through it. How do you go through this process? And by the end of that, we actually had one simple one pager that they were confident their team could go through and deliver to about 80% of the standard they do without them having any interjection, just from a one pager. So my point is that you do have systems in your business, and you might not think you do, but you do. And it might not excite you, but by capturing them and documenting them and putting them into place and making them visual and simple, you're going to create a win-win for everybody. So that's the systems phase. That helps the business scale. It helps reduce stress. It helps you stop reinventing the wheel every time you deliver new services. It works across the board. It works for you, the owner, works for the team, works for the customer, and works for the business. So it's a win-win, right? And if you think about it, if you do eventually want to sell your business, if it's reliant on you, it's going to be limited in its value. And even if you sell it, you're probably still going to have to be there as part of the deal. Whereas if you do sell it and you've got systems in place, all of a sudden it's very valuable because it doesn't rely on you. So that moves us on to stage 4 then. So stage 1 is startup, stage 2 is slog, stage 3 is systems, and then we move on to stage 4, which is sell or scale. And you could divide this into two levels, but I think for the sake of this podcast and for simplicity, it's good just to keep it as one stage. So after you've got your business started, you've gone through the slog phase and established it, built a good customer base, built a team, put your systems in place that make it predictable and repeatable. Then your natural next phase is going to be, do we want to scale this thing or do we want to sell it? You could say stay as well. Do you want to stay here with it systemized, while it's working for you? But this really comes from what your end goal with the business is. And again, lots of business owners that I work with don't do this. They neglect this. They fail to think about what they eventually want from the business. And this might be because we're conditioned to think that it's selfish to think about what we want, or it might be just a lack of confidence. That's what it was with me in my first business. Did I really believe that this business would ever be something I could sell and step away from, or something that could scale and have franchises? I probably didn't believe that. But if you said to me, well, if you got rid of your self-belief issues and just thought about what do you actually want from this business, I would have definitely come up with a scale model where we built a franchisable model. So sometimes you've just got to be honest with yourself and make sure that that you're not ignoring or resisting doing the things you need to do, like planning your exit for the business, because of lack of self-confidence, but we hide it in, we don't care, we'll stay here, we enjoy it. So we've got to be really clear on if it's if we've got inner beliefs that are blocking us from doing the things we need to do. So the sale or scale phase, it rhymes. Sale or scale, even better. You go learn as we're talking. So the sale or scale phase is where you really think about, okay, everything's systemized, and you can do this now, by the way. You don't have to wait till you get there. Everything's systemized, everything's working, it's all going hunky-dory. What do I want to do with this business when it's essentially not dependent on me anymore? Do I want to scale it into a franchise model and sell it to a board of investors, or do I want to keep hold of it and help it grow and reach more people? Or do I want to sell the business? Do I want to sell it to the employees? Do I want to sell it to investors? What number do I want to sell it for? And you should think about this. And part of you might think, well, who knows? It's impossible to tell what value the business will be in 10 years in the future, 5 years, whenever it might be, 3 years. But if you just don't make a decision on a number, you haven't got anything to guide you. So have a rough guiding number of what you would expect and be happy with to take from your business and what you think it would be worth. And that will help you when you're moving the business forwards, make decisions. It'll help you think about what does the EBITDA need to be? How much profit do we need to make? How much revenue per month do we need to make? You know, it'll help you drive these decisions if you've got an exit plan. Whereas if your plan is we'll just grow the business, it makes it very difficult for you to make decisions and for you to grow the business in a way that's actually aligned to what you want. And that will eventually lead to you feeling unfulfilled and unmotivated. So back to my original point, if you are feeling demotivated or just not as excited as you used to be, have a think about where you're at in the levels and have a think about, am I feeling demotivated because I've just maxed out this level and I'm resisting moving to the next level? And if that's the case, then you know what you need to do, right? You're going to be demotivated for one of three reasons, I would say. One is you genuinely don't like the business. So if you've never liked the business, that might be the case. If you liked it at the beginning, but you're struggling now, it's probably not number one. Two is you've maxed out a level and you just don't realize it and you're not moving on to the next level. So that's what we've talked about in this podcast in detail. But then three is, which I think is important to mention as well, which links to two, is you're lacking self-belief and self-confidence. And many people think this can't happen to a business owner because you've got a thing started and you've got it off the ground and you've invested money and you've built a team. So how could you possibly have any lack of self-confidence? But us as business owners know it's much more nuanced than that. And it might be that you're at a certain level and you know you're at a certain level, so between maybe slog and systemize, but we don't believe in ourselves to kind of get to that next level because it requires a new level of skills and a new level of knowledge. So it could also be that you're just really lacking in self-confidence to move to the next area. And if that's the case, that's going to make you feel unhappy because you're not making progress through fear, which makes you drained and tired. And ironically, you can reframe that, because if we're not making progress because we're scared about things going wrong, what I like to do in this case is think, okay, well, what happens if I don't take any action for another 5 years? And 9 times out of 10, we'll see that, well, a lack of action here will actually lead to the thing I'm scared of, which is the business not working anymore, or us not making any money, or customers leaving, et cetera, et cetera. So normally we just need to reframe that pain and identify it. And then normally we need to go to look at what stage we're at and how we get to the next stage. Like I said, there is the possibility as well that you just genuinely don't like the business, but if you started it and you enjoyed it at the start, you do like the business, you just have lost a bit of track on where you want it to go. So those are the 4 levels: startup, slog, systemize, sale or scale. I love that. I'm really happy with that, sale or scale. Think about what level you're in right now. Think about what you need to do to get to the next level, and think about if you've got any personal blockers, mentally, internal barriers that are stopping you from getting to that next level. Hope you found that useful. Remember, the most important thing that you can do for your business, for yourself, for your team, for your customers, is make sure that you're looking after yourself and that you're making the business work for you, because businesses and people are better happy. If you found this useful, please do head over to betterhappybusinessclub.com and subscribe to our weekly newsletter. Thanks for tuning in. It's Mike from Better Happy.